Hello, beautiful souls. Welcome to another episode of season 3 of Embrace the Face. I'm Allie Anderson, nurse, Reiki master, intuitive healer, initiate of the Modern Mystery School, self healing and ascension guide. And I am here today with an amazingly I can't even just high vibe all around guest and now friends. This is Jessica Akundra Potak.
Yeah,
Welcome,
you
Jess.
almost had it. Akundra.
Akundra. Okay, I'm
Akundra.
curious. Is that like an acquired healing name? Is that something?
Yeah, the helper spirits gave me that name recently, probably about 4 months ago. And
Okay, I
one
like.
day they came to me and they said, "Your name is Akundra." And I'm like, "Oh, okay." And I was thinking about it, and the more I thought about it, the more it resonated. And I was like, there's something about it which is very true to who I am. And so I've been adopting that. So I
I
would call
love
it my
it.
spiritual name.
I love
Um,
it. That's beautiful. So Jessica Okundra is
ooh,
I met you recently at a local, it's called Eyes of Learning. It's a
yes.
nonprofit near on Long Island. It's a beautiful nonprofit and it gets people of, metaphysical, spiritual advancement, all people of like-mindedness together. And we met and I recently did in December a quantum healing hypnosis technique, Dolores Cannon's technique that you recently got trained and certified in. And I am here to attest myself alone that since December, and it's currently only January 24th, I have had so many quantum leaps and bounds in my own healing and shadow work. And I have truly, and I have chills right now. Like, I have truly stepped into a version of myself that, like, I am just so proud of myself and
Proud of
just
you too.
the thank you and the gratitude that I have for your healing work is just like insurmountable. And I feel like the whole world needs to hear what you have to say. And I want you to take the stage right now. And I want you to just introduce yourself. I want you to share what you want to share about how you got to where you are. And then we are going to deep dive into discussing about Dolores's technique and where it takes us.
Absolutely.
So the stage is yours, my friend.
Oh my gosh. Well, thank you for like the bestest introduction ever.
Of course.
And I love how serendipity has brought us together. Apparently, through that QHHT session, we found that we were friends in multiple lifetimes.
Oh
And we
yeah.
and that tends to happen. You have a like-minded group of souls and energy that you continue to incarnate in from different time and 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 time again, and it's a usual cast of characters. And it's quite intriguing to see the people that I just met you, but I knew you in a past life. We had a lot of fun. We explored. We were in
Oh
the 1910s,
yeah, yeah.
1920s, and
We were
being
we
out
were we
and
were
like
entertainers.
entertaining.
Shocking to those who know me that I was in the entertainment industry. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh,
It's
so
wild. Yeah.
it is wild, and I'm so grateful to be able to meet you. And you were one of the earlier sessions I did, and one of the more successful ones, and one of the ones that actually threw my faith even farther forward, especially because you're such a clear channel that I was able to connect with all my helper spirits that I've been working with for a long time. They were able to vocalize directly through you. And they literally confirmed the fact that I was heckling them about healing you because
Yeah.
I wasn't letting it go because I knew what they could do. I saw it before. And so I know you had the neuropathy issue and I hammered at them. And
Oh yeah.
they confirmed that because I was like,
Yeah.
"There's no way she's leaving the house until we get her sewn up because there you have so much to do. You've been given such incredible gifts, and that we need more people to be able to spread these incredible truths of love and self-love and getting people to balance themselves out. It's so important. It's more important now than ever.
Yes.
So all right, so I will regress a little bit because I could just keep on going with that, but I guess I'll talk about my introduction as myself. I am a 42-year-old. I'm a transgender woman. I am a single mom. I transitioned about 5 years ago after understanding that I was born the wrong gender. And that was part of my soul's path. That was part of my theme. And it was part of my theme of empowerment too. And living 37 years in the way that was off with a lot of dysphoria and not in any type of a self-love. That was the catapulting mechanism which allowed me to swing the other side, find out who I really was, find my own self-love, embrace that. And then I was able to grow my own garden with so much extra fruit that I was able to give to everyone else. And I started my journey starting to put myself online on Reddit and Instagram, and I was able to show people my journey to help empower other people. And it grew very quickly. And I realized that I had an uncanny ability to help people. And I was always that person that somebody was on the precipice of a change in their life, and it was always me. And then they came to me, and I was always that person to give them the right information. Boom. And it became ridiculous. Like there was too many people that came through to make it any type of a coincidence. And I could tell that there was some part of a life path here because it was every day. I put myself out there and I opened myself up to it too, because after a while you realize that you're able to help people and then you're like, let's keep doing this. And I kept on opening myself and kept on helping more people. And I went crazy on it because I was like, I can help as many people as possible. Everybody I come to, like, I'm able to help out in some way, shape, or form. And you see this, and you see the people grow and expand, and it's such a beautiful thing for me. And that sort of spurred my spiritual journey, because that was sort of the foundation of it right there, where I was getting into it, but that I realized that I had a very specific path there. I had an experience where I kept on having visages of angelic beings, and I didn't quite understand it. And I had this one experience, and I was doing some work, and then I saw a very big angel number. It was like 55555 on an Instagram or something. I was like, it's a little weird. And then I started getting a channel that said you were sent from God to help, and then that message wouldn't stop for hours. And I was like, wow. I was like, I sort of knew this, but I also thought it was a little bit like, you're like, oh my God, I'm schizophrenic, but I wasn't.
Yes, I don't think people understand that. Like when we talk self-healing and ascension and spiritual journey, like it is very common to question your sanity. However, I think in all my years of like nursing, it's like those who question their sanity usually are actually sane. But then we were talking last night, like what even is sanity? What is it? It's our own interpretation, like our own perception.
Oh yeah,
So
it's all about perceptions.
I think your story is so brave. I think that though I'm a firm believer, those who have those like most difficult contracts to fulfill in their early life, that
Yes.
they ultimately come out as the greatest healers, because
Oh
I
yes.
feel I feel like once you experience something so low vibe, and then you come out on top, and then you start having all these synchronicities, and they don't make sense, but they do at the same time. It's like that consistent validation that builds your confidence. And clearly, there's enough of us in the world right now who are all about doing the same thing, about helping humanity and to obtain that sense of Christ consciousness.
Yes, but there's clearly not enough. That's the issue right now,
Yeah,
is that
yeah.
we're fighting upstream. And I've realized this, and that's the spiritual journey that you go through. And after that point of time where I realized I was an earth angel, that led me to the understanding that I had some dealings with the angelic realms, and I had uncanny abilities to channel and to talk to the spirits and to be able to I found healing powers to help people and heal people and move energy like in magical ways. And it
Yes.
kept on growing through there. And I continued to grow, and my intuition started to grow. And then my intuition started to grow. It just leads you to wherever you need to be. So all the information that you need, it was in serendipity. It was, because the universe does work in a serendipitous way. You will
Mm-hmm.
always get exactly what you need when you need it. And that's part of trust too, and relying on that trust. Because if you put worry, you put negativity, you put doubt in there, what you're doing is you are setting a frame for your manifestation. So, like with manifestation, you have a core frequency, and then everything that's supposed to come into your field, into your life that you have assigned earlier, before you even came here to fulfill a general path, that is trying to come to you as fast as possible. But if you have these negative doubts, these beliefs, you're reframing and you're redirecting the flow of the manifestation. And
Mm-hmm.
because that we are given free will, what that means is that nobody else can break what we're doing. So if we have a negative value about ourselves, then God, the angels, all our helper spirits, there's nobody that can go against us. But what they can do is they can show us that we're out of balance. And then that happens by first showing us instances in our life, and showing by us being aggravated or upset or having an emotional reaction other than love, that shows you're out of balance. And we will be continued to shown these incidents, and if we don't continue to understand what's going on, get the message, it will then reflect to people, to our pets. And then our pets are ones that will actually show us that there are imbalances physically first. They are our first line of defense because they love us unconditionally that much. And then it goes to the body. And then it goes into sickness and disease of the body, energy blockages, and it will manifest as everything. And that's where QHHT comes in, because QHHT, we can disassemble or we can rethread those energetics that we've assigned. Anytime that we have a negative type of a feeling, we're threading to a piece of ourselves which is in negativity. Now, that could have been 5 minutes ago, or it also could have been 5 lifetimes ago.
Mm-hmm.
The concept is actually the same, because all that happens is in the now, only in the now. And everything that's not existing in this very moment exists as a type of a bubble, if you can understand that as such. And we thread to those things. It upholds who we are. In universal terms, we are a math equation, and we need to build up who we are. Nothing in the universe is made out of nothing. Everything comes from something. There is something that supports it in every way, shape, or form. Every facet of ourselves comes from somewhere, and it could have been a previous experience of our own, through past lives that we're threaded to. It could have been an imprinted life that we're threaded to, and it could have been instances, traumas, issues, things within our own life that we thread to. And when we're threaded to those negative values, they bring down our core, they bring down our vibration, because they put blocks in front of our core vibration, which is our unconditional love towards ourself and everybody else.
Mm-hmm.
So it's imperative that we clear out those blocks and continue to look at the things that we have in front of us, the issues that are at hand, and the feelings that we have at hand, because those are all intuitive messages by the universe to tell us what we need to focus on. It's literally a roadmap to success, because they're gunning for us. The point of existence is for soul growth and for experience. It's not to suffer. I mean, we do have instances where we do have to go through harder times, and that is unconditional love and the law of balance, because things, sometimes you do need to be in the dark to see the light. There's that polarity. Just like when I was like finding myself, my own truth, like I had to live a majority of my life, I lived 37 years in the other way, not in unconditional love. And that's not to say my life wasn't good at that point. And I've been a single mom for quite a long time, and I've been taking care of my daughter, and things were good in that way. But I hadn't built that up. But I needed that. That was the foundation that allowed me to swing backwards, because all things are inherently in balance, right? In the universe, the biggest thing that anybody can understand is everything is in balance. Everything is inherently neutral, but in the best way to perceive things is everything is neutral with a perception of your positive things. But you have to understand that each aspect of everything has both positive and negative attributes. But unconditional love is loving them both, because they're both equally important. Just like my transition journey to find myself was important, and it wasn't something to be shunned, to be cut away and trying to leave, forget about, fight. All these things, you can't do that, because what we need to do is we need to integrate. And that's the most important thing. It's taking these negative feelings, or these negative experiences from not only this life, but through QHHT, we can do it through other lives. Take those experiences, reframe them, understand that they're all happening for you. Understand that it was all happening out of unconditional love. And it's so important for you to take those concepts and to smooth out the path for your own self, and understand that it's bringing you to a better point. And without that negative, you can't have that swing to the positive, nor would you be able to appreciate it either. It's like you can't appreciate something until you have the opposite there to give you that contrast.
Yeah, and it's the law of polarity.
It
Where
is a
there's
law of
darkness,
polarity.
there is light. Where, the law of gender is we have that balance of the divine feminine and masculine within all of us, and bringing
Yes.
that to balance.
Yeah.
And that's what the world really needs. And I talked about that recently, this week actually, on my blog, and writing a lot about like that ego versus heart. And so for example, I don't know why I feel the need. So I'm just going to talk about how you said, like, when you go into the theta brainwave state, which is what so I'm a daily meditator. So I felt like it was like, I bring myself into that state, but I just enjoy so much more and always feel like it's so much more powerful when somebody else guides me into that theta state. So I went to.
It's a different theta too.
Yes.
The state that I put you in is an upper theta. When we're doing it by ourselves, or when we're doing a shamanic journey, it's a lower theta. So by having somebody to guide you and somebody to put you in that state, you're able to dig deeper, and you're able to surpass, and you're able to get more information from it too, which makes it very valuable.
So I learned, I think my first life, and they all threaded to my current life of learning to also have a sense of self-independence and fulfillment, and not doing everything for everyone else. And I lived these two lives that I did visit during my time with you. Both of them were, I knew I was making, in one I was making terrible choices, and it just like led me to an elderly life of loneliness and, unfulfillment. And then in the other life,
and by the way, you had a lot of money. You were well taken care of financially.
Yes. Yeah, both lives. I became like, the first one, I remember I started out I was like an indigenous farmer, a young woman who then met an Englishman who was very well taken care of. My son became a pioneer in the Industrial Revolution, it seems. And, but I still felt this sense of I never got to fulfill my own purpose. I fulfilled everybody else's, and I encouraged
you were living for
everyone
them,
else. Yeah.
Not for yourself. And even though it was a good life per se, like things worked out decently.
Yes.
Fulfillment, though.
Yes, and it's
Fulfillment.
so important, and I feel like that is what our world today, if there's anything that I can do in this life, like I feel very strongly for you too. I feel like the same aspect of healing is like I can look at somebody and I just know I need to tell them what they need to know in that moment
Yes.
to like shift that paradigm.
Oh, yes, you
And
do. Yeah, you've been
and
given that
it's
energy.
yeah, and like, but it's, you question yourself until it continues to happen, consecutively with consecutive clients, and you're like, okay, there's something to this.
And then you
But
just
like, I,
trust, and then it
yeah,
comes.
so, but I think even more importantly, and I haven't really done any research on like, childhood and adolescence currently about like that is the ultimate idea in instilling in our children to live a trauma-free life or to just live their true soul's purpose and instilling that at like a young age in schools in again we're going to delve down into talking about religious aspects and how that kind of hinders our soul growth. I think like those external pressures from
Does.
yeah
It does
so
because it's not based on high vibrational information. We
yes.
have a whole foundation of a society based on misunderstood information that it's based mostly on teachings of the church, which are not necessarily wrong per se. They were just translated and understood. It was too literal.
It was like a
And
game of telephone, I feel.
oh
And
yeah.
then, and with that being said, that's why I wanted to talk about. So, Jess had recently sent me yesterday, last night, a recording. You did this very cool universal expansion
Yeah.
hypnosis with a friend,
Oh yeah.
and within this conversation, so this is something that I was
M-
dealing with.
May,
Like,
may, okay, can we put this on hold for 1 second? I want to give a brief
yeah,
overview of exactly what I do because this will lead into it very
okay,
nicely.
absolutely,
Okay,
absolutely.
so my sessions, what I've created on or what I've channeled, it's not from me, it's from them. I'm a pure open channel, and I've been working with spirit, and I found my soul purpose, and it has been QHHT. And I've combined that with the personal sessions that I've been working with for people for quite a long time. And it's flung the door wide open. The personal sessions are meant to give a really deep dive into your life, open up, understand what's going on, like really like understand how the interactions work, where your weaknesses are, where your strengths are, and how to reframe your energetic body. I mean your framework of your reality to understand really what's going on. And then I give people new tools to understand the daily, because life is like a roadmap. And as I mentioned before, many things are reflections based on how you're doing and how you're feeling emotionally. Your life is like an emotional feedback, a consistent emotional feedback mechanism. So your entire life, every piece of your reality is based on the energy that you have within your system and that you feel. And I help people decode that.
Mhm.
And it's a big shift, but it's really beautiful. I have 100% success rating with everybody that comes in my door. It's the definition of what I do is shifting people to a completely new perspective. And nobody is even allowed to come see me unless they are on that precipice. It was exactly what I was doing before, but this is in a very more direct way to really approach people in that could be in a very tough way. And we open up those energetic to have those energetic openings, and then we can go and after we've given the tools, re-understood everything, figured out the root issues, the root causes, then we can go into QHHT, we can go into the past lives, we can understand where they thread, and then we can also go on the spirit side where we can do incredible healing. I mean, with Ali, we took out sludge energy, which was causing a neuropathy,
Mhm.
and there was a root issue there too. But we worked on the root issue, and she started to understand that and release that, and you've made huge strides, and
Yeah.
it's incredible. The healing modality is the strongest that we have. It is the new standard of care. I'm pitching it as that. And I see other QHHT practitioners doing this too. And based on the changes of the new earth, or of the earth that's coming, this is going to be a new shift, and it's going to be something that everybody's going to be able to need, because the power of this is the fact that with two people we can heal each other, and we don't need the pills, we don't need the hospitals most of the time. I mean, great, if you hack off a finger, they're great to sew it on, and if you have an imbalance in your body, there's a place for Western medicine. But there's a very strong place in this preventative type of a medicine and in healing these issues. But yeah, that's huge. And I think that I needed that to sort of segue in, because the QHHT, we go into past lives, and what this is, it's basically a time machine. And you're literally going through time, and we're going to the people who lived in those places at those times, and you have a perception of what's going on. You can get a clear understanding of the feelings, the environment, and you become in that space again. You're like living in existence in that place for a little while.
And it's emotional. It's emotional. Like in my one life, I was dying, and like I had my family at my bedside, and I could feel my I knew that I was, and this is very descriptive, but like I was coughing up blood, like I was, and like I was so sad, and I have it on recording, and I listen to it over and over, of me crying because I'm so sad that I'm going to lose my husband and son in that life, but like I know it's going to be okay. Like I was in this place of love, and and when you refer, just to like clarify so other people can understand, when we refer to like the new, not new age, new earth, but like just it's the 5D frequency is what you are referring to, correct? Like us elevating into.
Well, yes, we're having a big shift right now, and elevating. I mean, I have a lot to talk about this too, because through every session, it comes through everybody. This is a theme that comes through, and what's happening right now is what's been happening for thousands of years. That this has been planned, that the entire Earth and its inhabitants are given the option to move into a higher frequency. So we're jumping directly into a quasi-physical fifth dimensional reality. That requires the consciousness of mankind to grow. And it's been slowly seeded. So this has been happening meticulously for thousands of years, maybe if not millions of years, based on the other collapses, because we had Moria, then we had Atlantis. And from last night, I found out that the timelines were even longer than I thought, that Atlantis was maybe even 100,000 plus years ago. And then the difference between that and the Moria was also like hundreds of thousands of years. So we're gone through a lot of cycles here. And they've been planning for this. This was the original idea for what mankind should have, where they wanted mankind to go initially. But with Lemuria, like what happened, there was an asteroid came and it brought in bacteria and other viruses. And because we were out of balance at that point of time, we were susceptible to the negative energies of those bacteria. So if we were actually in balance at that point of time, we wouldn't have been able to absorb those energies. But it changed our DNA, and it changed our entire path. And so we are given this opportunity now, maybe even a million years later or so. I'm trying to find an actual timeline of it, but it's not important really. Because what's important right now is things are shifting, and very quickly. The energy of the entire Earth is upgrading. All of our energetic bodies are increasing, and as a whole. But the people who are meant to help usher in these situations, the 3 waves of volunteers that have been sent, which were really starseeds from other systems, were sent here to help and bring up the vibration of the planet, because it wasn't happening and it was lagging behind. And because of the climate change and things that are happening right now, they were been trying to get this moving before things get worse and worse here. And so we have a plan to move off planet, or at least a portion of us do. And so what's happening is that as we all raise our frequency and our vibration, we embrace self-love and we trust and we understand that all things are happening for us. These are some of the core values, and really like embracing that no matter what happens. The world could be burning around us, being able to understand that we are still loved and we are still in the best place for us despite the circumstances, and it's going to be put us to the test. But the shift will bring us eventually to a new planet that's being curated right now in fifth dimensional density, and it will be a place where we don't have to deal with balance like we are in the third realm. And right now, you have to have those negatives to have the positive. It doesn't necessarily work like that. One of the spirits told me, one of the sessions a few days ago, the human condition is fear. And it's so true. If you sit back and you think about that, you're like, that's exactly what it is. It's systems and in putting and instilling fear in people to act a very specific way. The new earth is not going to be like that, though. It's based on love. It's about acceptance. It's about serendipitous occasions of all things, because greater societies, as I've been buzzing around the universe, like you see these different societies, and they don't necessarily have to use money. The more advanced societies, they work on serendipity, where everybody has a part. You understand what that is because you're following your passion and your excitement. Your excitement is your guiding principle from your greater self to lead you in the direction that you need to bring you to the best place. And even though it may seem like a winding road sometimes, it's actually the shortest path to being the best version of yourself and living your best life. Any time that you veer from that, you are going to be shown that very clearly. And so not being yourself, that's pain, is not embracing your true self. But it's going to be a very big shift. And the new space is going to be beautiful. But the ones that are going to go and move to this higher energy space of Earth we have a lot of work to put in. But at the same time, us as light workers, we have to bring everybody else up too. This is our job here, is the three waves.
Seed. I feel like it's like planting seeds, and whether they understand it now or they don't understand it, we're still instilling to their subconscious, and one day it's going to come to fruition in their own divine timing.
Yes. Now, what's also more interesting, well, not more interesting, but what's also, as a side note, interesting, is the fact that many of us, and probably the people that are listening to this podcast, because they probably be along that same wavelength, because like energy attracts, but we are here to help, and everybody is, and especially these the people who are high vibrational have understood some of the new spiritual aspects and are really working on themselves, embracing self-love. The thing is that we are sent with certain frequencies, and this is called activations. And so why this is so important is sometimes some people may feel like, oh, I have something to do, I don't know what to do. Always just follow your excitement. It will lead you to that spot. Some people aren't even meant to be doing that much specifically, but just their being in a specific place in a specific time. You can be walking down the block and you can literally be changing the lives of the people around you based on your energy, because your energy is an activation. And activation is sort of like a lock and key. And so you very specifically have the key to millions and millions and millions of people. And the energy that you have not only is local, but it spreads around the planet. But in local areas, if you travel or move to or go to a specific place, you may not understand why you're doing it, but just your energy can be that lock and key, which will open people up in ways that we couldn't know. This is where the divine comes in, and they put it all into play. This is all that this is all the back programming that they put together, but that it shows that we're all important. Everybody here has a job to play. People may not think that they are special, but everybody is. Every piece of energy has a part to play in this system, and everybody's part is important. And you can judge and say, oh, somebody else's part is more important, but that's not true, because you need the entire system to work. And that requires every single person doing exactly what they need to do and acting in the way that they need to. And there's so much power in that individually, because it's very easy to feel like you get lost and that you may not matter, but everybody does, because the universe doesn't make mistakes. Everything is so meticulously put together. And as I go through more, I've connected to more of the spirits through QHHT. I literally have a direct phone line to the greater selves. I've been through and have asked a lot of questions, and it's been a lot of confirming things, but that's part of it too, is you understand that everything has a specific point and an important role within society and moving things forward, and the expansion of all humanity. And it's a very big, important note to take away.
It is, and it's not an easy battle or an easy trek when you are doing the work, but it really is, like you said, it's the new not scope of practice, but the new way of really healing. And it's incredible, because for those of you who are not familiar with QHHT, it comes from Dolores Cannon and her husband, who did decades of research and work doing these past life regressions. And it's amazing how now, like you said, it's like the new standard of care. So it took decades. People don't understand, there is decades of data between Dolores Cannon, there's Brian Weiss, there's Michael Newton, there's all these people. I think it's Johns Hopkins that has a whole department dedicated to studying quantum physics and past life regression. And quantum means, for those who aren't familiar, it means to heal in the now. Quantum is now, quantum physics. So Dr. David Hawkins, as you talk about fear, that we are a very fear-based society, that if you look at the Hawkins scale, which I share all the time on social and everything, and the Hawkins scale really is where a beginner can look and see, where do I feel that I resonate on this scale? Are you neutral? Are you at a hertz of 200 hertz, where your soul, your core frequency is just neutral? You're not any longer in that fear state, and you are now in a place where you are ready to begin that journey, to look, within and see what you need to work on, because every soul is different. And then as you move up the scale, you move more towards peace and joy and love. And when you get to that love state, there is no judgment whatsoever.
No, there isn't.
Yeah. And I get very caught up in being in a spiritual community, and then people coming and they're judgmental. And I'm like, if you are preaching that you are, a part of this, if you are a part of healing humanity, then no, there's no judgment. There's still something then that you need to go and work on.
Oh yeah, because there is no judgment, because everything and everybody in every circumstance, every moment is absolutely perfect. It's divinely perfect. And because we are exactly in the space that we need to be at our highest growth and our highest good for not only ourselves, but everybody else. Now, that doesn't mean that we can't grow and we can't expand, but we are perfect in the fact that we're exactly always where we need to be. and it changes in real time. It's based on your feelings and the way that you comprehend
Mm-hmm.
this.
Mm-hmm.
Also that Hawkins scale, I use it all the time. And I use this in my sessions too, because it's a good visualization tool. Now with the Hawkins scale, the thing about that is it's an exponential scale. That's where people may get caught up. So even if your neutrality is maybe like 200, the difference between neutrality at like 200 and guilt, which is like very low, you're looking at like 30 or so.
Mm-hmm.
It's exponentially larger, and that's why the people who are spreading love and higher vibration, higher consciousness, their energy overtakes the negativity of millions of people. It's that powerful. So when you can understand that the work that you do for yourself and embracing that self-love and hammering out your own issues and smoothing these things out helps the entire frequency of the planet. That's
Yes, that's when
literally
you're
what's
ready
helping
to
us
be of
move.
service. Yeah, like
Yeah.
you're ready to give out, and you don't even realize that you're spreading that love.
Yeah.
And
But you're even being service no matter where you are on the
yeah,
scale.
yeah, it's very true. Yes,
Yeah.
and we all have a purpose, and we all have a worth, and we all have a free will to look within. And that's the greatest part about quantum healing is you don't have to go any further than a couch or a bed. So
You don't really. Now,
yeah.
one other thing about the scale too is it's just like everything else. We vacillate. It goes up and down.
Oh
And
yeah.
you can be in love one moment and then you could dip back into fear. It's
Yeah, it
just
can be all
using
day
the
long.
tools.
All
Oh yeah.
day long. You can it's about remembering and being able to return. And it goes hand in hand with your physical body and the autonomic nervous system as well. But you can be affected by some sort of like lower vibrational external 1 minute and then be like totally and completely in bliss in the next.
Oh
Like,
yeah.
so that there is that understanding that, there life now, in like you said, it's a very difficult time on our planet.
Oh yeah.
That is that lower, third dimensional, lower vibrational, more dense, more fear, more greed, the war, the conflict. And so those of us that people don't even realize are walking around spreading the love and helping to raise the vibe. One little not even interaction, like you said, walking down the street and passing somebody on a block, and like my heart chakra is sending your heart chakra a little love, and there you go.
Yeah.
I hope it helps.
No,
And
it does help. It's not
yeah.
hope. Hope is
Oh
under.
yes, I wanted to talk about that actually. Since I met you, I stopped using the word hope.
Yeah, because hope means by saying that you hope it, you feel like that you are power. That's saying I don't have any power. Nobody has any power, but I'm going to throw a shot out into the wind. But that's not actually true. We define our entire lives, our definitions, and part of my personal sessions is getting people to understand this framework, that our entire lives and our entire reality is based on the framework that we define. And part of the issues is that we have these knots. We tie ourselves in these energetic knots of false beliefs and false knowings of ourselves. And once you get to the root of that and you're able to loosen those knots and untie them, and then get people to recognize that though they were just spinning themselves in circles and it doesn't make any sense, the mind can actually start unraveling and opening up from that. But yeah, hope is dangerous because people at that point are like, I don't have the power. I hope God will take care of me. But God can't do anything for you because you have been given free will by source, by God.
Yes. Yes.
So they can only do as much as you're willing to allow in. But
Mm-hmm.
they will again give you reflective situations for you to learn, and
Yeah.
the best ones at that, and everything, and all the tools that you need in every moment. It's just your decision on taking those lessons that are in front of you and perceptualizing them. Like, you understand that all the things that come to you again are neutral. You have to assign the lessons to them. What lesson am I learning? It's neutral with a positive perception. That's literally the key to being to That's the key to everything, and that is Jesus or Yeshua's main teaching of
Yes, I love
unconditional
it.
love.
I
Now,
love
can
it. And do you see how this is channeling, segueing into what we're going to ultimately talk about now? So, okay. So, I'm just going to give a really quick synopsis so
yeah,
that people understand why this is so paramount, because I feel like so many people struggle with this, and I've been meeting more and more humans in the spiritual, especially energy healing world that I am a member of my Roman Catholic Church. I have been told several times that, even by the pastor there, that I was dangerous and I needed to stop all of my healings, and that how dare I go around saying that I have these gifts, and it's not so black and white. And meanwhile, he had just been talking about Padre Pio and his whole gift of being able to read minds in the confession booth and tell people, like, no, you need to come back when you're ready to confess wholeheartedly. So, but me, little old me walking in off the street saying, like, oh, I use like tarot card. Oh, you broke the first commandment. You don't love God. Oh, you're a healer, you're a nurse, you're a healer, but you use energy work. That's of the devil. That's bad. You can't do that. So I was in such a state. This was probably last year, a year and a half ago, this was going on for me. And it was devastating because, like, I wanted to be, my whole life I was trained to be a good Christian when I made my holy sacraments as a teenager. And like, so, and I wasn't like an active member of church, but I felt called to get closer to God, to figure out who I was, like I was feeling called, and I was so shunned. And then I started meeting people in the same thing. And then and I've been, dealing with this, and I still do my healings because I know that it's coming from a godly source. I know
of
that
course.
I work with the angels, and Mary Magdalene, until she presented an egg in front of the Pope himself, or the Roman emperor himself, and showed that the egg turned red, like in front of them, like everyone thought she was fucking crazy out of her mind. Like, but these things happen, and these things are documented.
They are.
And little people, the disciples, what were they doing when they were, and what was Yeshua doing when he was putting his hands on these people? It is energy healing, and we
Yeah.
all have that capability. And he was not teaching us to be conformed to these rules, and you can't be gay, and you can't practice this, and how dare you have a different opinion than what the man says. And I feel like his message was carried so out of hand via the game of telephone, ego, control. And like, my church now is now being replaced by the Dominicans. So the Dominican order, they are going to come in, and they actually acknowledge Sophia and Mary Magdalene, whereas my current Roman Catholic sect won't even talk about Mary Magdalene other than she's a whore. Like, so, and this gets me obviously very riled up and passionate, but the reason I bring this up is because Christ consciousness is about love. It is about that inner love
Yes.
and being close to source, no matter whom you believe in, no matter what religion you practice. If you want to practice, like, I'm still in my church's choir, but that's as far as I'm going to go. I'll light candles at the Mother Mary and Joseph and Padre Pio, and I'll be like, Padre Pio, I'm on the same level as you. Like, if I'm doing something wrong, then send me a sign and make me know that I should not be doing this. And I have not ran into that working with the angels. I have only received
Oh.
validation and more humans coming to me looking for service, like
Oh
of
yeah.
healing.
Of course.
And
That's part of your
this,
path.
yeah, and it is those externals that cause us to question our ability and what we are doing, and the judgment that we receive. But I feel like it's so strong, especially if people listening to this right now are in the field of servicing humanity, that if your heart is telling you that this is a part of your path, then keep going and keep
Oh
moving
yeah.
forward. And I want you to talk about this latest quantum experience with your friend, and just all she said about give the main message
Yeah.
about what Christ wanted us to know.
Yeah, absolutely. And by the way, like, and when Allie came to see me and we had our session together, that was one of you were still tied up in that knot too, that church's
Yeah.
knot. And like we gave her some understanding and some and let her gave her a permission slip to sort of open up to this. And I've seen you've changed and
Yeah.
you've been able to open up and embrace yourself more. It's very hard when you have these incredible gifts and then somebody tells you that you're a dark entity of and you're evil, and they make it very easy to point the finger. That's the whole
Mhm.
thing there. And then they say, oh yeah, the devil is in disguise. What do they say, like the devil is I don't know what they say, but they
The devil is sin. The devil is like you are born with sin. The devil then tempts you to be sinful.
and then they
Like,
talk about false prophets based on them. But
yeah,
like,
yeah.
so my existence, I have been working as a traveling healer as such. My life, I really began to start to dedicate to help people, to heal people. I felt this gravity, and as I've been going through my experience, it's been more and more. And as I have had such a strong connection with Source and understanding that I am here as an agent of love, that I've wholeheartedly put myself out there. I realize that I'm in situations all the time, and I live in my heart space. And I realize that there are a lot of hurting people, and that I go and I go where I feel excited to go, and I leave myself open to help the people that need it. I'm able to heal people with energy. I'm able to heal people with giving concepts of understanding, and this will relate in a second. But I've also found I felt very much like a traveling healer, and I felt very much like a very strong connection with Yeshua or Jesus. And I'm not Catholic. I I was raised Jewish. I mean, yeah, we had a Christmas tree because we had some we had some Catholic blood in the family, but I I was able to see through it all for a long time. So yesterday, well, okay, my friend Sarah, I met her about a year ago, and this connection I had with her was incredibly strong. And as we spoke about this, it was almost like she said it was like resuming a conversation. And she's probably the person that I am closest to. I don't think there's anybody on earth that communicates with me and me to her as clearly. So it's been a very strong connection. The first time that I did a regression on her, and she was literally the first person that I did, that was, we found that she was in the order of Melchizedek, and that was a secret order with Yeshua. But he left because he didn't like the ritual involved with it, and so he basically disassembled it because he didn't like all the what they were standing for, and she left at that point too. And I also realized at that point that I was very connected to her in a very strong way. Like the spirits, they mentioned us as two golden threads interweaving with each other. So now I keyworded her. So what that is that I can send her into the hypnotic state very quickly. I utter the two words and she'll snap right back into it instead of having like an induction. And so we did this last night. And where did it bring us? The first place. And she had a robe on and some sandals, and she was like, this is the time of Yeshua. And I knew that this was powerful because the power and the energy that was coming through before the session was so thick. And a lot of these sessions are. This was really intense. And she realized that she was one of the disciples, and that she was away from the camp of Yeshua at that point. But then she just she was he at that point, and decided to meet up with the whole group again. And I was there too. And this wasn't an imprint, because sometimes in the past lives, when we have to fulfill that qualities of ourselves, just as I said, we thread to lifetimes, and we're talking like more lifetimes than you can count. But we're threaded to these other lifetimes. Sometimes we use an imprinted lifetime. So some people will be like, "Oh, I was Cleopatra in one life." And then like 100 other people are mentioning that too. That could be valid because they were threaded to that to that lifetime, but their soul didn't actually experience it. It's similar, and they can get some of the values, but their soul didn't experience it. I found out last night that we were both the two of the original 12 disciples. We followed Jesus around, and this was very shocking. And I'm still actually trying to balance out the weight of this, because through my entire life, I've known, and I've had, and people have called me Jesus-y before, and it also tends to make sense. But I'm literally doing exactly what I was 2,000 years ago. I'm going around, I'm helping people, I'm helping people expand, and I am giving people tools to help themselves. And this is what Yeshua was doing when he went. Like, yes, he had power to heal. He could do energetic healing. It's very strong energetic healing, and he can heal the sick. Just as I've learned this ability too through QHHT. The things that I've been able to cure from people that are like ridiculous things. Like I had this one woman, and she had 2 of her knees were gone. They replaced the cartilage. A restless leg they were able to fix. A bladder, that was all. They fixed that. Like. And the neuropathy in her feet, they rebuilt the veins. This is extremely, extremely powerful. But these are things that Yeshua was able to do also. But what he was doing and how he approached people and his true magic was that he went around and he was able to spread information about unconditional love. It was one of his core, like the core things that he taught. And this is what he did. He spoke. He went to places and he opened people up. He didn't even necessarily know where. He followed his excitement, and he was just led to exactly where he needed to go. When we were with him as the disciples, we were like on tour, and we were just going wherever the wind took us, whatever town brought us to there. But he had this pervasive energy, and this energy was opened people up and made them receptive, just in the same way that when I do a session, that the energy that comes through, people are in an extremely open state to be receptive to the information. It's the same information that Yeshua was teaching, which is unconditional love, which is all things are inherently neutral. And despite what it is and how it looks, the negative and the positive are one and the same, because the ones who are in the negative, or the things that are perceived negative, are really the springboards to bring people to greater enlightenment. And Jesus spoke about this a lot. And as I'm scurrying to read, because I didn't have any real understanding of all this stuff, because I wasn't taught it. Now I'm reading everything about the disciples and what they did, and I'm like, this is exactly what I'm doing. And it's incredible, because we all have the ability to spread this. And that's eventually what we did eventually too. We split off, and after we went around with Yeshua, we went on our own accord, and we had that same energy. We did the same things because we were traveling with him for so long. It's like we learned and we were able to absorb. And yes, it wasn't to the degree of what he can offer, but we were able to bring this to such a wide audience of people. And then as we split off and we were successful, and this worked, once we came back, that's when he started, and he grew the disciples, and he grew to 70 disciples, and then they went out, and then they continued to go. And he even realized it wasn't enough at that point. And I found something out that was very incredibly beautiful about Yeshua himself and who he was. Yeshua is an ascended master, and always is, and always has been. Just like any ascended master, he didn't come he wasn't not here. He was always here. He just became embodied in a personification of a human to give us what we needed at that point of time. But he is the embodiment of unconditional love. That is his energy. And he comes through to everybody on this planet. It doesn't matter if they believe in him or not. He's there. And that's so important, because everybody thinks, oh, you have to believe, and you have to think, you have to think the church's version of him, blah, blah, blah. No, that's absolutely not true at all. And what's even crazier is the fact that he channels through us all. And so what happens is, a lot of times people need like that glimmer of energy, and he does that. So he comes through. So if you have a conversation between two people, and one person needs to be receptive, he comes through, he channels through people as a glimmer in their eye. And if you knew what to look for, people would recognize it as his gaze, which my friend Sarah was able to see his actual eyes, and she understood it. She said she even saw that within her husband too, and it sort of freaked her out because she knew what it was. But he does this to everybody. But he's here for everybody, and he is the embodiment of unconditional love, and he spreads that to everybody. Now he also they also told us that then other spiritual leaders were there too, also as ascended masters. So when you have the Buddha, they said the Buddha was sort of similar too, where the Buddha embodied love, but not unconditional love. So it's sort of like a Coke and a Pepsi.
Yeah.
It's a little bit, it's similar. The flavor's a little bit different. It doesn't include that duality. It was just love on
where
a whole.
life is suffering.
Yeah, it didn't have to be. And then you have Mohammed, and then Mohammed is all about knowledge and expansion. So all of these unconditional masters and all the religions that people they're diving into, and they think that you have to be like so focused on it. You don't. These entities are coming and working through us in the ways that we'll never know. And they're working as guides. They're working through other people in this beautiful, absolutely loving way. And there's an integration there, because the more that we can begin to understand that they're all working on the same team, there's no division. The problem is that we've set up as you said before, we're telephoning, and then people are creating these false perceptions based on the need for greed and power, and it's divisive. But we're in a time where we are going to see those institutions start to crumble, and that's because there's a lot of changes coming. And that's part of this message too, also, that we've been sent here to help and to open people up, because right now we're in a time where the earth is changing very, very quickly. So we have the climate change, and we have effectively thrown the balance off of the earth so hard that we are in a state where we can't bounce back, where there's beings, there's extraterrestrials, they've been helping, they've been beaming energy in. I can go on for days about that type of stuff too. But like they have been like working hard to keep the pieces together to try and mitigate the damage, and it's not working. The Gaia is going towards a reset. And this is part of people letting go these fear-based institutions and starting to open up and consider something different based on love and more unity. And we're going to have to, because the climate change, which is going to start fueling great changes in the topography of the earth, because flooding is going to be coming. The weather patterns are going to change very drastically because we've changed the ocean salinity. Because what happens is that once we have these ice caps melting, it changes the salinity of the oceans. And our climate is based on the ocean currents, which is based on the salinity. We've screwed the entire system up. And it's part of the cycle. And so we're going to have to learn to open up to other people, to trust more people, to not dive into fear, because things are going to get dark looking on the outside. But what it really is the biggest chance for growth for all of us. And it's going to give us a passageway for us to bring our energy up to where we need to be to get to the new world. And that's an individual thing. So the new earth is literally in a different energetic state. It's person by person. And this is part of it. We're also going to see a lot more extraterrestrial influence coming through, where it's already here. And what they're doing is a very slow and meticulous rollout, because they're basing it on the vibrational frequency of as a whole. So they are slowly, meticulously adding more and more contact events. If you actually look in the news, you'll notice more. Even things like the Miami Mall alien. Now, while that might have been ridiculous and it wasn't true, and I asked them about this last night too. What it was an event to judge people's reactions, and every contact is a way for them to judge our reactions, to see if we're ready for more. And are people in a hysteria or a fear-based state, or is it intrigue, or is it loving? Is it just expansion? That's what they're judging, and it's going to happen more and more and more, to a point where it is going to be undeniable that we are amongst a universe that has so many life forms. We're talking, millions and millions, and it's infinite. We're off the beaten path, and we were meticulously put off the beaten path of the universe because we were given free will that ushered in an availability of fear and negativity. And a lot of the other civilizations, that fear and that negativity is like a virus.
Yeah, and it causes separation and hate and ultimately war. And it's just not. So I receive a lot of like channeled downloads from Albert Einstein, especially since I saw you. Like, I've always been very in tune with quantum physics, and I've always been like,
Wait, we read that out. We read the unified theory. I read that with you, right?
I think so.
Where it was like that revised unified theory where Albert Einstein himself said that he was a little bit confused, and he understood that the basis of all is love.
Yes. And that's really all it is. And there really is no need for war. There is no need for, I could talk about this all day too, but I think I'm bringing it up because it's like the most, like, life is theoretical, right? Ultimately, I mean, we have our laws of physics that show that, the laws of polarity, again, where there is love, there is hate. Where there is fear, there is love.
But that's also in the third realm too.
Yeah.
The new earth won't be operating like that, which is important to note.
Yeah. And I just think that, like, it's so important that we no longer judge or cause division amongst each other. And listen, I don't know why, like, my brain popped into like thinking about the Mormon religion, for example. So the show The Chosen was actually written by a Mormon. And within the Mormon religion, like, they had a division amongst those who agree with polygamy and those who do not agree with polygamy within that religion. So I feel like it's like those examples of like, well, then who said that? Like, who said that that's like the rule? And I feel like it goes back to what Yeshua was trying to show, that there really are no rules. It's just love. Love yourself and love one another. And Bob Marley had it right, I think, the whole time. So
that's why he was so influential.
And like our indigenous ancestors had it right when they were connected to the cosmos and the lands and the herbs and the those healing capabilities. And we need to shut off that ego. We need to wipe our slates clean. We need to understand that acceptance really is the answer. And until it comes to that, until enough people, come to that realization, there is going to be division and turmoil and chaos and fear.
There is.
And for those listening, I think the ultimate message is you don't have to live in fear. There is no need to live in fear. Yes, you may have shit that you need to work on, and you need to cut those cords and give yourself that freedom to live and to really live and do what your soul came here to do. Like that minute
Yes.
that moment we take our first breath, we are completely in a state of amnesia. We have no idea like what the hell we are doing
But
here.
that's the point. It's so we can
Yeah.
understand who we are from a better perspective. Because if
Yes.
we already knew, then we wouldn't be able to gain new insights and new understanding about who we are.
Exactly. And now is the time. Like if you are
Yes.
listening to this, like now is your time.
And
Start really honing in and looking within and just simply calling upon Yeshua or Jesus, whoever however you want to say. But I think it's very interesting that in your recording that it was confirmed that yes, he is referred to as Yeshua, and that is how they refer to him in The Chosen. Have you seen that? Did I ask you that?
no, actually, I haven't seen that.
It's actually, so not only is it written by a Mormon, but it's written in the perspective of Jesus from a child, his upbringing
Wow.
to it's really
Oh, we had
it's
information as Jesus as a child too.
yes, yes, you
He
had that in
told us
your
that.
recording. Yeah,
Oh
that
yeah.
he wanted to free reign. He didn't want restriction. He
Yeah.
wanted to question the universe and
Oh
question
yeah.
what was happening. But he himself, what people don't understand is as a child, also suffered from this amnesia and had no idea like who he was or what he was getting himself into. So,
I don't even know
you
if it was
know,
suffer though, but it was just that was just the condition, and
yeah.
that's part of
Oh,
that's
suffer. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it's part of
It's
the
our
fun. It's I mean it's how you
yeah,
define it,
the
right?
experiment. It's that experiment begins. And yeah, not suffering, you're right. But yeah, it's just I think it just really goes to show that like the real message has gotten so lost over time, and as we become more disconnected from source, we become further and further from what we are ultimately capable of doing as one humanity, and that is to
Yes.
thrive. And we will get there. We will
Oh,
get there
we are
eventually.
we
Yeah,
are.
like we're
You
on
know,
our way.
but the
But
whole thing is that we can that we have growth. We have a lot of growth. There is the consciousness of the planet is growing. It's measurably growing. And that's why we're having more extraterrestrial contact. They couldn't even begin to come to us more if we didn't have that ascension. So a lot of the dark things are happening right now because it's a form of release, and that this stuff needs to bubble up to the top. Any of you who follow or if you're following the moon, you know that full moon, which actually I think is tomorrow, that
tomorrow,
that it's a time of release, and it's an expansion, and it's a growth, and we are pulled up. Our vibration is pulled up a little bit, and the negative vibrations, they don't move, so they're stuck. And if they're stuck, that means you're pulling one against the other, and then you're jostling them, and it gives them an opportunity to break free. And then that's sometimes why we feel a lot of tension around those full moon times. But it's the same as what's going on here too, globally, where that the tension, because we're all expanding and we're growing, that the tension is we're having that tension. But with that tension, it's giving us an opportunity to re-understand and to open up and to release some of these negativities. It's giving us
yeah.
it's giving us a chance to reconcile these things, because a lot's coming. There's a
Yeah,
lot
and
coming.
there are actually studies that, and I'm gonna have to look this one up, and I'll send it to you if you want. But it's
Sure.
I believe it's via an indigenous United States, like within the states, an indigenous culture. I forgot which one, but they actually did a study on their suicidal ideation and suicidal
Oh, that's
rates
not good. Okay, yeah.
surrounding the lunar cycles, specifically. And they actually found that in the new moon cycle is when most of the attempts are made. So the reason that I bring that up, because yes, that is very like low vibe and this is all high vibe content,
Yeah, yeah,
but
yeah.
it's because first of all, you're not alone. like when you feel these things come to the surface, like that's all
Yes.
energy. And again, so important that you said that like that's your body. Like if your physical body is feeling out of whack, or your mental body has these intrusive thoughts, like think about it. What is the lunar cycle, or what is what cycle, if you're a female and you're menstruating, where are you in your cycle? But also like what is this telling you? This is coming to the surface for you to grow, mind, body, spirit. And ultimately, like you have the power to look within. You have the power, you have the resources. Clearly, you are a resource
Yes.
in quantum healing. So how can people find you?
Okay, one thing, because I want to cap that up. One of the most
Okay.
important things that the energy from that we got from the sessions is, and they thought that this was incredibly important for us to convey, is the fact that Yeshua wasn't telling people to put him on a pedestal. Quite the opposite.
Yes.
Literally, he was an example of Christ consciousness, and he was saying, you can be like me, that you are like me. We are unconditional love, and we are a whole. We are together, and we are one. There is no separation. And anytime you see anybody preaching any type of a separation in any way, shape, or form, it's not real. It's not unconditional love, and it's skewed. And the thing that all the greater selves want me to convey, and they said it was one of the strongest messages, is that you, every single one of you, has the same power as Jesus does, or Yeshua.
Mm-hmm.
And it's profound, because we all think, oh, he's better than us, blah blah blah. No, that's not the point. That's the problem with the established institutions, is they make it seem like there are people that are better than other people, and people are on a pedestal, where it's not. Everybody is equal, and everybody also has the same opportunity to tap into this loving energy, and you have the opportunity to be in contact and be living in this Christ consciousness. So that's huge.
100%.
And
Yeah.
that's like one of the biggest lessons there they wanted to transfer over. There's a lot. I mean, we went over an hour talking about this, and we are, now that I'm re-understanding my entire life now, and as I realize what I'm doing, and they've told me that my QHHT work is so important that they've literally lined the passageways for me. You'll hear it later on the recording. I'm actually going to clip this recording. I'm going to start to bring it out there. It's going to be part of my. I'm going to do a podcast. I'm going to be doing more YouTube. I'm going to do everything. I'm going to start putting that information out there. They said one of my important, what I was sent here to document this, because I have the ability to do this. And that's one of my, oh God, they gave me, they have given me a big old,
You have a
like,
laundry list, a honey-do list.
it's yeah, it's miles long, and it's a little bit daunting. But I recommend anybody who wants some spiritual guidance, please reach out to me. I'm at jesspotak.com. You can also find me online at Jessica Potak Instagram, but also my main Instagram is cute Jess Li, and I'm going to be launching from there. And I do sessions. I live in Long Island, New York. And if you want to fly me out someplace, you can fly me out. I'll heal you, or
So
we'll have
worth it. So
it's
worth it.
it will make it all happen.
Yeah.
And I am here for the world, and I am resuming my mission as a disciple, and continuing to bring this love energy and the actual truth and the things that Yeshua was bringing to the world as a whole, and bringing that love to everybody. I've already been doing it. I've already been set on my course, but it makes so much more sense now. And I'm here to bring that love and that embrace. And I think everybody can understand by the information that I've been able to channel today through that I'm here to help, and to really help guide people through this, because it's the times that are coming are going to change, and they're going to change quickly. And being able to understand these ideals, and understanding unconditional love, and loving both the positive and the negative aspects of all things, while staying in a positive type of perception, is so important. It's so important because the things we're taking all this for granted right now. This is a beautiful time in humanity, and it's also a time where things are about to change very quickly. So we need to have our core values aligned with ourselves, because what happens when things start to change and society starts to change on a whole? You need to be ready. And that doesn't necessarily mean you should fear that. It's just more, allow the opening of your heart. Allow yourself to do the self work. Give yourself the permission slip to begin healing yourself. But you have to step forward and you have to do the work. But there's so many people around to help you. There's a lot of guidance out there. But that's really the big thing, is just really being open to it. And there's so many incredible, loving guides, just as both of us are, and we're here to help everyone.
Yeah.
And we're
All
all going to make a
humanity.
difference. All
All
humanity.
humanity. Yes.
And the entire planet. The
Yep.
planet is shifting too. And
Yes.
every piece of everything has consciousness, because God is everything and everywhere. And that's how it sets up all situations, circumstances. And it's a beautiful system. But we have a lot of work to do. And
Yeah.
I encourage that you, if you have work to do, that ask for help. That's one of the things, is we don't ask for help. The spirits, they say, yeah, nobody asks. They're there. They want you to ask. You can ask. They will help. They will send people. They will send healing. People don't trust in the power of the universe. They don't tap into the power of the universe. And we need to do this more. And it's accessible to all people, but it's not, it's really being able to take that leap and dig into yourself. And if you give that openness and you project it, you exude it, it will all come to you. And you really won't even have to work for it that hard. Things will always be put in your path. Serendipity, as long as you're following your greatest excitement and doing the things that excite you in the moment the most, without any preconception of how it should look like or what it will lead to, and you continue to follow that path with a positive mindset, you will always be brought in the place that you need to. The universe literally caves around your feelings and what you need in the moment. You have to be able to pay attention to the cues. But we're here to help, and we're here to change everything, and we're here to spread love. And I really appreciate you having me on today. This has been a beautiful
this has been an amazing conversation. Literally, my episodes, I strive to not hold people out for more than 30 minutes. We've been recording for almost an hour and a half.
Well, that's how it happens literally in every podcast. I'll go triple time.
I love it.
I have too much to say. I have too much enlightening information.
It's needed, though. It's channeled, so it's from a place of higher good. And I wanted to, just because, again, I could talk about this stuff all day long, and this keeps coming through for me, that Eckhart Tolle, are you familiar with him?
No.
He's an author. So I recommend his book, The Time Is Now, to a lot of people. I actually, this week alone, recommended it to 2 different people. So maybe that's why this is coming through. He says in the beginning of the book that the word God got so caught up and lost in translation based on everybody's different opinion of what God is. And I just re-listened to this segment the other day. And I think that to close out with this is that God is love. Whatever you call him, God is source, whether it's spirit, source, universe, your Jesus directly, whoever you feel works in your heart center to help you overcome and heal and ascend and be one with all humanity and Christ consciousness. Like, do not get lost in how the term itself got lost and confused over time. Just be within. Doesn't matter. Your greatest wisdoms and your greatest answers are always going to come from within.
Yes. Yes, because within is actually an embodiment of all things. And then if you're true to yourself, be going within is really an expansion to all things. And then by going within,
Infinite,
it
infinite
is
expansion.
infinite. It is
Yeah.
connected with the infinite and the all.
Yes, yes, I love it. Thank you so much. I'm
Thank
sure
you.
that I'm going to be having you back on in the future for sure. Maybe we'll talk about aliens that day.
Anytime. I mean, I'm racking up. I'm so busy, and I'm fully booked up now, and I have new experiences every day,
I'm
and it's
so
incredible.
happy for
So,
you. I'm so happy. You deserve all the happiness
as
and
does everybody.
yes, yes,
Everybody deserves it.
yes. Well, have fun most of all, like getting to do all the things that you're doing and
It is my
meet.
greatest excitement.
Yes, yes. As was Yeshua's, to just go with the flow.
That's
Follow
exactly right.
follow where life takes you.
That's
So
your
great
soul's path.
advice. I'm so grateful for you.
So grateful for you.
Thank you for being on today. And everybody, please tune in again next week for more high vibe content and interviews. Peace
Definitely.
out. God bless. Bye.